Yeah, I did it last semester in your class. I think I was there for the first 2 weeks before I dropped it, and I remember doing that with your class.
Oh, good. So you'll remember it. It'll come
We
be
did an
familiar.
essay
And,
in
and
Marvin's.
the thing with the MLA is it scares everybody, right? Or doing a works cited page. It seems intimidating because there's so many rules that go with it. Like you have to have certain, like your title has to look a certain way. The name of the author has to be a certain way. Like you have to do the last name first, then comma, then like if Florence wrote a book, I'd have to write Provost, comma, Florence, period. And then I'd have to put brackets and the year that she wrote her paper, like 2021 would be the year she wrote her article or whatever. And then I got to write after that the title of the article. Maybe the title of her article is what was the name you came up with yesterday? Call of the, what was it? Instead of Call of the Weird, you came up with another title.
Oh, one of the girls did call of the, I wrote it down. Sorry.
Okay. Put you on the spot.
Yeah, call
Sorry,
of
I have
the
my
ignorant.
camera off because my daughter's beside me and she'll put her face in the camera and it's gonna be a pain in my ass.
I think it was call of the
Mummy's face on
ignorant.
the camera, so try.
Yeah.
Sorry, what is it called? Call of the what?
I think it was call of the ignorant. Jenny's out there. I think she,
Curious? Call of the Curious?
Call of the Curious. Yeah.
Call of the Curious. Okay, so let's say you wrote a whole paper on this, right? And then I'd say your title is called Call of the Curious. Now, if yours is depending on what kind of article you wrote, if you're writing like an essay, if you're writing like an article for a newspaper, this guy was an essay. So depending on what kind of article it was, I'd have to write the title a certain way. Sometimes I'd write the title just like regular typing and underline it. Sometimes I'd write the article like in quotation marks, or sometimes I'd write the article like in italics, like all tilted, italicized. So depending on what kind of writing you're doing, is it a novel? Is it an essay? Is it a video you took off YouTube? Is it a newspaper article? Is it a website? So depending on what kind of information, where you got the information, it changes how you write everything. It's annoying, but once you get the handle of it, it's pretty easy. It's just you look at what I'm looking at. I'm doing an article from a YouTube or from a Wikipedia page, or I'm citing a video I found on YouTube. And I have a cheat sheet on my YouTube on my Moodle page for this that shows you, like, are you doing a video? Okay, this is how you do video. Are you doing a novel? This is how you do a novel. So I've got like a cheat sheet for you guys so you know exactly how it's supposed to look. But I'm going to give you examples, so don't get freaked out right now. So first what I'm going to do is I'm super annoyed. Ever since I had COVID in the end of January, beginning of February, on and off, I keep getting coughs and sore throats. Like, basically, I feel like I've had a little bit of a lingering cold for 2 months now, since end of January. Does anybody here get COVID and it kind of just lingered?
I did.
Yeah, like I'm coughing again. This morning I woke up with sore throat. I had to take a lozenge. And I'm like, I was fine for like 4 days, and now all of a sudden my cold and cough is back.
My husband lost his smell, and then he's just finally getting it back, and that was back in August.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I will say my daughter and my son-in-law both, they caught COVID in September, and it took a few months, like I'm going to say about 3 months. My daughter had no taste. She was testing her taste buds with like pickles and hot sauce or vinegar. There was nothing, just texture.
Really?
Yeah, it was bad. And my son-in-law,
did you lose a bunch of weight?
She's already tiny. She doesn't have my big gene. And she can't
afford to lose weight.
No, she can't afford to lose weight, and she lost weight, but she's smart. Like, she listens to me still. I'm lucky. So I would tell her, you have to eat.
Just force yourself. Maybe like protein shakes, like liquid things you can drink that you don't have to worry so much about texture, because texture be kind of gross if you can't taste the flavor. Hey,
it was texture only, no flavor. And my son-in-law had no smell, just like Olivia's husband. He had no smell. So it was really, and then there's my granddaughter, 12 years old, dancing around the house with no symptoms at all.
Nice. Yeah, my whole family, like I said, we got it in January, end of January, like leading, like, you had that break at the end of January and then the beginning of the semester in February. that's when I got COVID. So I was sick for a little over 10 days, like really sick. And so I remember
Mhm.
it was not that bad for the first part because I didn't have to teach any classes, but then we had to come back to the semester and stuff, and I was still pretty sick. But my daughter, like, she's kind of the same as me. My son and daughter, Joey, my husband, they're just fine. They had a couple of days of symptoms and they're fine. But me and Ella, we just keep getting sick again. We go for like less than a week of being normal, and then all of a sudden our cold seems to come back, our cough. Like, she's got a cough this morning. I was like, oh shit. Oh, dear horses.
Mm,
I was like, oh shit, she's coughing again because the day home won't let kids come in if they have a cough. If they have a
mhm.
runny nose, it's okay, but if they have a cough, nope, sorry, you can't come in until you have no cough. So she has like a
Yeah.
phlegmy cough this morning. I'm like, oh shit. And
Yeah,
like
I
we went a
mean,
whole week. It's frustrating. I'm like, holy crap, like when is this gonna stop?
my mom says never. I don't want to listen to her.
Well, I mean, I saw an article that said something about there's a they've named something called long COVID, where you get COVID, but it lasts for months and months and months now. They're claiming that, oh, your chances of getting long COVID are way less if you're double vaccinated and all that stuff. I'm like, everyone in my house was double vaccinated, well, except for the babies. But I was double vaccinated. Why am I getting long COVID?
Yeah, it's a
So,
mysterious thing because my husband is an anti-vaxxer, with my son, and but yet I'm fully vaccinated, well, double vaccinated when it first came out. That
yeah.
January I was one of the first people, like when it first came out, to get it. And yeah, like I felt like, I swear, I felt like I might have had it. I had a cough for a long time, but yet these two here in the house, they've never been sick and they're not vaccinated.
I
Just
know that's
just
the same.
taking precautions.
My husband's the same way. I forced him to get vaccinated because we do a lot of traveling, and we do a lot of like traveling and dining out. And when they made that law where you can't go anywhere, do anything basically if you're not vaccinated.
I
And then
know.
also his work was like, you need to get vaccinated. There's a time limit. You have to get vaccinated at a certain time. Like, I was just kind of like, just give it up. You lost the battle. You have to get vaccinated. Your work's
Yeah.
making you do it. I'm making you do it. So he got double vaccinated. And the whole first 2 years of COVID, he didn't wear masks. He didn't, he wasn't worried about it. He didn't get vaccinated. He was like, no, I'm not worried about this. And then when I forced him to get vaccinated over Christmas holidays. And what happens in January? He gets COVID. And he's
Jeez.
like, I was fine. I was fine for almost 2 years, and I get vaccinated. And what happens? I'm sick. And he never gets sick. Like, even before COVID, he never gets colds, never gets flus, nothing. Even if we get a cold, he won't catch it. And he's like, he got COVID like within a month of getting double vaxxed.
Gee,
And
that's
he's like, this is
strange.
bullshit. He was so mad. And then also, we keep getting those stats from the health department on the reserve, and the stats keep showing 50% of the people that of the reserve, 50% that get COVID are double vaxxed, and 50% that get it are not vaxxed. It's like 50. It's like flipping a coin. Either you're going to get it or you're not. And it doesn't seem to make a difference whether you're vaccinated or not. The only thing I noticed that really stands out are the people that only get one dose, the first dose, and didn't get the second dose. They have the lower incidence of getting COVID. Isn't that weird?
Wow, that is weird.
Yeah, I was looking because you look at those. I don't know if you guys get them, if the Blood Tribe publishes them or not, but we get them emailed to us once a month from the Blood Tribe. Redcrow emails them out to all the staff, and it shows what number of active cases of COVID are in our community, how many
Mhm.
how many of the active cases are non-vaccinated, how many active cases are vaccinated, and how many of the active cases only have one vaccination. And the numbers of vax and
Wow.
non-vax are almost always the same. Like within a couple of numbers, they're almost equal. And the number of people that are going to the hospital or getting COVID that only have one vaccination are very, very low.
Hmm.
So
So
I'm wondering if,
strange.
yeah, I'm like, maybe that was like, get your first dose and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Maybe the second dose put too many of the COVID antibodies in our body.
Yeah, I think it's changed over time.
Yeah, I know
So,
it's interesting. It's such a new problem, and the vaccine came out so quickly, and the research is so new that you know, 10 years from now, they'll figure so many things out about this and that they
Mhm.
didn't know now. That's the only scary thing, is that everyone's so scared about it and everyone ran to get vaccinations before they were ready, because either they were forced to for their jobs or just the fear, right? The
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah.
So yeah, my husband was anti-vaxxer and he's mad that he got vaccinated. He's just like, I wish I never did it,
I had the
because he's like,
same.
I don't
I
know
had
what's
the
in my, I don't know
same.
what's in my body now.
Yep.
And yeah,
I felt that way.
I
I
don't know
felt
why.
like I had to.
I was very, I didn't feel like I had to. I knew I had to. My job at Redcrow, they said, unless you're vaccinated by October, you're not working for us anymore.
Yeah.
And
They
so
said that at
I didn't get
the.
vaccinated for the longest time. I got vaccinated in August because we were told get vaccinated by October 15th, double vax by October 15th. You know, you had to wait a month between.
Mhm.
So I needed to get vaccinated by August if I wasn't get my second vaccination before October.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They told us we had to do it in that January when they started with the vaccines. Otherwise, we couldn't work there anymore.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Most places did that. That was the big thing, I think, with the trucker thing. Like because my husband participated and he went out to Coots border and like supported them, because he's not a trucker now, but like 10 years ago he was a trucker. That was he went to school for it. He was that for like at least a decade. He was a trucker, so he really had a lot of support for the truckers.
Mhm.
And so he went out there to Coots and hung out there for the weekend and talked to people and stuff. And I think it got really crazy by the time it got out to Ottawa. But the stuff that was happening in Alberta was just primarily truckers that said, we're almost all vaccinated, but we're going to lose our jobs if we don't get vaccinated, because they won't let us cross into the States. They won't let us just use the rapid test anymore. They're making us have the double vax, which I thought
Yeah.
was kind of weird, because I was like, the rapid test is more accurate. Like, I've got double vax, but I still got COVID. And the way I found out we had COVID is my kids. I don't know if your kids are getting sent home with those rapid tests, but
Mhm.
my kids are getting sent home with those rapid tests. So when my day home said that there's a kid at day home that had COVID, so I'm like, oh, we'll test my baby. We'll test her. She's obviously goes to that place every day. She came out positive, so we all got tested, and then we all got out positive. And so none of us had symptoms, not even my baby. None of us had symptoms, but we were positive. And then within a few days, we all started getting the symptoms, like, you know, the cough and the chest pain and, you know, the usual, you know, symptoms.
Oh,
And then,
scary.
like I said, everyone got better within a couple of days, except for me. Mine dragged out for the full almost 2 weeks. But you know what I mean? Like, if I had driven into the States, I wouldn't have been stopped because I was double vax. I had no symptoms, and I had COVID. So I
But
thought it
you
was
had.
kind of weird. I'm like, the double vax seems to be a better way to do the border crossing, because it's immediate. Within 15 minutes, you have that, you know, right?
Hmm.
Whereas a double vax isn't a guarantee that someone's not carrying COVID. So
Mhm.
I just
That's true.
thought that was my take on the whole trucker whatever the protest was, that you should let them use, if they don't want to be vaxxed, don't force them, but make them do the rapid test at the border, going there and coming back. I didn't see why there was anything wrong with that. So yeah, I thought that people losing their jobs, and have you noticed how with this whole trucker thing, we're losing a lot of merchandise on the shelves at stores. There's like some
Yep.
stuff that's just gone because
Yep.
truckers are like, it's happening in the States too. Apparently, like, there's truckers from all over the States going to Washington. They're doing their own version of what we did in Canada. And that's
Yep.
happening right now. So everything's getting diverted. So it's like, you know, the truckers are really important. And this is a really stupid point to make, that a rapid test isn't good enough. It's good enough to send your kids back to school, but it's not good enough to let you drive into the States. Then what
Mhm.
good is it?
Yeah, exactly. Even the littlest thing, like I'm just gonna say real quick, like Rice Krispies. You couldn't find them anywhere. And
Oh
then
my God, you too?
you know
They
why?
wanted
Because
real Rice Krispie squares. Why?
exactly, because they're coming from the States. And
Oh my God.
we
Oh my
could,
God, that makes so much sense. I was thinking, are they discontinued Rice Krispies? I went to every
mm-mm.
grocery store and
There
left,
was
I
no
couldn't
Rice
find any.
Krispies.
Yeah, my
And
kids wanted me to make, I buy them, you know, the ones the prepackaged ones for their lunches. And I was
yeah,
saying how the real ones are so much better, you guys. Like, do you know how to make the real ones? Mommy, I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, I do. I'll go make some. I got
That's
marshmallows,
why
I
you
got
couldn't
margarine,
find
and I
them
couldn't find
anywhere.
Rice Krispies anywhere. I finally found one box of Rice Krispies, and it was one box they had left, and it was the brown Rice Krispies, and I just grabbed it
Yeah,
anyways. And I go, it
yeah.
won't matter. There'll be so much sugar in here, you won't taste it. But yeah, now I know why. Because yeah, we kept going. I kept telling everyone, if you're in a different grocery store, like not on my side of town, look for Rice Krispies for me. I can't find a box to save my life.
Yeah, you couldn't. They were nowhere.
Yeah, so I think that was one thing that kind of annoyed me about my country, because I'm a liberal. I voted for Trudeau, and I liked him as a prime minister, but I got really upset with the fact that there was no communication with the truckers. The government just said, nope, do what we say, or you're beat. We're gonna freeze your bank accounts, and we're gonna do this and do that. I thought that was just a little crazy, like people getting arrested, and it just got really stupid. But then right after our protests and stuff, where people were getting beaten by cops in the streets of Ottawa, and like cars are broken into and stuff, not one person got killed in our protests in Canada. And all of a sudden, a week later, all this crap goes down in Ukraine. And how many people are dead already in the first week of the Ukraine stuff? Like, there's so many people dead. Like, it's like, holy crap, Canada knows how to have a uprising without people dying.
Yes. Well, holy. That was an
But anyway,
uprising, quite
it really was. It was an uprising.
leading into
And
something big.
it got crazy. Like, my husband, I took a picture of my husband, because my husband went down to Coots, and I drove there Friday just to check it out. And it was crazy. Like, it was so long. There's so many cars. It was really crazy. But there were people with fire pits and laughing and singing, and they had a band. There was really like like not people screaming and yelling and angry. It was just people talking and having like supporting each other and sharing stories and blah blah blah. It was actually it reminded me like of a music festival or something, right? So it wasn't bad like that. The cops were there. The cops were like kind of controlling traffic, because I went there just to see what was going on, but I wasn't going to park there and hang out there. It was really windy, right? So I needed to turn around. So the cops were like helping people turn around so they can get back on the other side of the highway to go back, So the cops were all nice and stuff. Like, it wasn't like what you saw in Ottawa. That was like, that kind of got crazy with the cops tear gassing people and stuff. Like, I thought that was weird. But what was happening in Coot was really peaceful, and people were like, it really was like people like laughing and talking, setting up fire pits in the ditch between the two highways and stuff. People's cars were all parked down there. People had like trailers and stuff. Like, it really was like a really supportive environment. I went there and checked it out, took some pictures, and I posted my pictures on Facebook to say, whoa, this is crazy. Like, I didn't think it was going to get this big. And I got so many people reporting on my Facebook page, like angry people, like so many people like, this is a waste of time. People shouldn't be doing this. I even had somebody post that I shouldn't be working as a teacher, that I'm not fit to be a teacher if I support this stuff.
I actually just real quick, I did post something about the trucker in the beginning when I first heard about it, because I knew, you kind of catch wind from other social media sites that, okay, it's going to affect your food, right? The shelves will go empty. So that's what I posted, was of a trucker saying that. I found it on TikTok. But anyways, I had a girl that's been on my Facebook page for several years, and she's older, about a good 10 years older than me. And she's a different type of native from up north. She came for me hard that day from that post. She just laid it into me. And then she assumed I was a nurse. She assumed she made assumptions of my, what she thought she knew of me. And yeah, just for that one post, she got really angry. I couldn't believe it.
It got people. I had to hide my posts. I had to call my boss and say, hey, someone brought up that I work at Redcrow and that I shouldn't work there because I'm not a fit teacher because I have this position. And I go, I didn't put a position of anything. I just put pictures up and said, check out these pictures. I didn't say pro or con. I didn't say that. Go truckers. I support you. I just showed pictures because I couldn't believe how many people were there. It was insane. I've never seen that much of a gathering for any kind of Canadian
when it comes to politics. People,
and then they got really involved, and the person that made that comment, I don't even know that person, and they don't know me. And my husband, my sister got really mad. They were like really lipping off to them. I'm like, no, don't engage this person. I don't even know who this person is. Yeah, and my husband's like, I don't know who this person is. He's not in your friend list. He's not associated with anybody that seems to be on your Facebook. I have no idea who this person is. I go, he goes, I think he's just a troll. I don't know quite what a troll is. But I guess it's just people that go on other people's things and say stuff and they don't even know you, like your person.
Yeah.
But I got so many comments, and my boss is like, well, you didn't put anything that violates your contract, doesn't violate any of Redcrow's rules for social media. Because I
Mhm.
go, you didn't put any kind of political position. You didn't say that I'm from Redcrow College and I say this. She's like, you're fine. We can take it down if you don't feel comfortable. You can keep it up. You're not in trouble from Redcrow. I'm like, okay, I just
Yeah.
needed to know that, because I thought that was
Yeah.
just crazy that someone called for me to resign. I was like, what are you talking about?
Well, when it comes to politics, people get very passionate.
Yeah, they do. But anyways, I didn't take it down, but I hid it. I hid it so that only my friends could see it. So
Mhm.
strangers couldn't see it. But I still felt bad about it. I'm like, I feel bad, like I've done something wrong. And I'm like, all I did was show pictures, and my kids were there, right? I brought my kids up. Like, I'm not my baby. It was too windy and too cold there to bring her out. She stayed in the car with an iPad. But I went outside for a little bit just to check it out. I walked a little bit around, and they had porta potties there, and the Hutterites are coming. They're bringing firewood and bringing food. Like, it was actually a nice scene for a protest. It was like very positive, and I thought that's the cool thing. I thought that's what the takeaway. Like, people were showing Canada flags and stuff. So what I did was I turned around, I went to Milk River, and I just got a hotel room at Milk River, because I was gonna come back the next day and bring my husband some more food and stuff, because he was sleeping in the van, right, in our mini our SUV. He just pulled it all back and put blankets and sleeping bags and stuff. Like, he was determined to, like, stick it out with these guys for the weekend. I'm like, okay, fine. I said, if you want to come to the hotel and shower and stuff, you can, or come back to the hotel breakfast and have breakfast and like hot coffee and stuff. He's like, no, I'm staying out here. I'm like, okay. So we got breakfast the next morning, and I brought him out some stuff. But it was crazy. It was even a million times more people there by the next day, the Saturday. And all these ranchers brought out their horses. There were like 400 horses there supporting all these truckers. And again, it was all just very positive. A bunch of horses, walking around in the fields and on the road. It was just a really cool scene. But I got so far, and I was on the phone with my husband. I brought you I brought you some breakfast, and I brought you some coffee. He's like, don't bother. He's like, it's too many people. It's going to take you 2 hours to get to me and then get back out again. He's like, just turn around now when you can, and I'll see you on Sunday when I get home. Like, okay. I go, take pictures of the horses. The kids want to see that. Well, we could see the horses walking on the side of the road, but they're walking towards where the main part was at the end. But I'm like, this is pretty cool. And then all of a sudden, it seemed peaceful all the way until it got crazy in Ottawa. And then once it got crazy in Ottawa, they made everyone leave Coots. But it was peaceful all the way for the whole protest down at Coots. The only thing that got kind of creepy was when I checked out of the hotel the next day. We were sitting in the parking lot, and there was I think a bunch of the people that were supporting the truckers decided to stay at the hotel too. They didn't want to sleep in their cars. Because I saw a bunch of those vehicles in the parking lot that had the Canada flags on their pickup trucks and stuff. But one thing someone had it posted on the back of their truck, and it said had a American flag, and it said Trump 2024. And I was like, oh my God, do not attach that crap to what's going on here. This has nothing to do with Trump and American politics. And that's when I thought, oh, this is going to get out of hand. A lot of people that have different agendas are going to jump on the bandwagon of this. Is it because this was the first day of that protest, and it was really, like I said, it was really peaceful, really nice. It was all Canada singing old Canada. There's bands there singing like country songs and stuff. It was really, about what this was started out to be about. Not letting truckers lose their jobs because they don't want to get vaccinated. And all of a sudden, these other people came out
It
and they had these
shifted.
other agendas. Yeah, and they tried to like align themselves with this because it was getting a lot of attention. And so I was like, oh, when I left, I told my husband, I go, oh, I think you're going to start getting some weirdos out there, because I just saw a Trump person, American flag, Trump 2024, big sign outside in the parking lot. I'm like, I think some weirdos are going to come. And I think that's what happened. I think some of the government used that kind of as an argument to get rid of to shut down the convoy. It was like, oh, they're Nazis and they're all these things. I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if there were some neo-Nazis that tried to join in and, anything to get attention, anything to be part of a big movement, right? To try to get their agenda put on there. But and I can't speak for Ottawa because I wasn't out there. I can only speak for what I saw in Alberta. And what I saw in Alberta was pretty peaceful. And even when I went to Calgary last week, or was it a week last week? Yeah, a week and a half ago, the Calgary Tower was all red and white. Like the lights were all red and white, showing support for that kind of stuff. And I'm like, that then I thought, well, that's very Canadian. It's just, we're showing things with song and Canada flags and supporting each other. Peaceful. Hutterites bringing food. Like, there's so much food being brought out. Firewood. Like if you're cold, they were letting people, go come stand at our fire, and hang out. And it was very peaceful and it was very nice. And so I thought, it was really too bad that the media. Like I thought you couldn't turn on CBC or CTV or any or Global and see any of that information. Like I was like, this isn't on the news anywhere. I'm like, that's crazy. There was a complete media blackout of the protests until the very end when they gave the police the right to throw tear gas and start arresting people. Then all of a sudden it was on every news channel. Oh, and that's the other thing I would say that was really weird. That creeped me out was that I posted that thing on my messenger, and I have an iPhone, so you have iPhones. I don't know who has an iPhone, but you have folders, right? You have like maybe all your utilities, or maybe all your games, or I have a social media folder that has like your TikTok and Messenger, Facebook, all that stuff. Anyways, my messenger folder, or my social media folder disappeared off my phone.
How does that happen?
I don't know. I couldn't find my Facebook. I couldn't find my Messenger. I couldn't find any of my social media stuff. It was gone. I couldn't find it at all. I looked through my whole phone. I had to go to the App Store and re-download all the social media I had before. They're all gone, disappeared. And it was not just individual, it's the whole folder. My whole social media folder was wiped from my phone.
I hope you changed all your passwords and
No shit, hey. It was freaky, but it was like I didn't know. I mean, I started getting conspiracy theory. Like I was like freaked out. I'm like, how did that happen? Because it was around the same time that other people were saying, yeah, my accounts are getting frozen. And even the government's like, well, if you're supporting the convoy, then yes, you're supporting an illegal blockade. And yes, we're going to freeze your bank accounts. And so they're freezing bank accounts. I'm like, oh, it is scary. And I was like, holy crap. And they did that emergency measure thing so that they could do that. Like they had the right to do all this stuff that would have been illegal and against the Constitution. So I was like freaked out. I got so scared that I voted Liberal. I voted NDP once, like when Alberta became NDP. I voted NDP that election, but I usually vote a Liberal. I'm usually in the middle, right? My mom was really on NDP, so that's the way she was, very, very left wing. But I always tend to be a little bit more to the middle. So I did vote for Trudeau, but I've never joined an actual political party before. Like, I've never signed up to be a member of any party. But I shit you not, after my phone was all weirded out and I heard people's bank accounts were getting frozen, I went online and I officially joined the Liberal Party. I was that freaked out. I was like, okay, my name needs to be associated with the Liberal Party now if they're going around like ripping people's bank accounts out from underneath them and stuff. I was like, yeah, this is getting scary. This is not the Canada I know. And my husband was so mad at me because I was so scared. He's like, you're getting too paranoid. I am paranoid and I'm freaked out. I got to make a living. I need to like support my kids. I'm not pussyfooting around here. The truckers are on their own. I don't care anymore.
Yeah. I honestly, just to give my opinion, I really think the reserves should vote on that type of level, like on a higher level. We've been trained to only vote on the reserve.
Yeah.
And it's our country. I think there should be just more, just in the schools, especially on the reserve.
Provincial or federal. Do we not do that a lot?
No, a lot of people I know don't vote.
That's unfortunate because we have a lot of people in this country and our vote makes a big difference.
And they don't understand left wing, liberal. They don't understand the meanings behind it, what that means, or, I just, it's so important. I think.
What we should do then? I'm gonna make a point of that. We did that a bunch of years ago when we had an election. I believe it was it the city election for Lethbridge or was it provincial election? It was before COVID anyways. And we had an assembly, or not assembly, we had guest speakers. Me and Marvin, we thought this would be a good idea at main campus anyways, we did this. We invited people that were running for office to come to Redcrow and talk to the students and talk about what their platform is, what their beliefs are, what they want to do if they get elected. And I thought that was really good because like you're saying, a lot of people don't know what the parties stand for and what is a good party to vote for. I remember I had a First Nations friend, and she was thinking, I think I might vote for the Conservatives. I was like, are you out of your mind? Why would you vote Conservative? She goes, isn't that the good party to vote for? I'm like, no, not for us.
Mhm.
Not if you're First Nations, not if you're poor, not if you're a woman, not a single woman anyways, not if, not if you're not wealthy. Like if I was white, if I was wealthy, if I was a business person, if I was a lot of those things, I would probably vote Conservative, because that would be taking care of myself and my family, because those people would vote and do things for the country that helped me out. But I'm a single mother. I'm Native. I'm a person of color. I'm a teacher. I'm in education. And I care about what happens to I may live off reserve, but I care about what happens to my tribe, and what happens with Native rights and Native, like things like these distributions, these fights with the governments and stuff. I go, so I either vote NDP or I vote Liberal, because those are the two governments that tend to try to work for social programs, right? Like they're the ones that set up things like food banks and shelters, and they want to increase welfare or their child tax or subsidies for single parents that have to put their kids in daycare and stuff. I rely on subsidies for my daycare. There's no way I could pay full daycare. It's
Mhm.
expensive. Like one kid for daycare is like over $1,200 a month. That's like
And
my
also,
mortgage to pay for a
and
kid to go
also
to daycare.
when he first ran, if we think back, he targeted the Native community.
He
He was
did,
smart.
yeah.
He was smart because that's how he got in. It was really emphasized for Natives to vote. And then after he got in, we kind of like, didn't go back to that mentality of being excited to vote. We just did
Exactly.
it.
And that's what's going to happen. Like I said, that Trudeau was smart. Remember, he came to the reserve.
He was there. I was in the Sepoy. I was right there. We were one
I
of the
was
first
too.
ones.
Yeah, I was
And
there too.
remember, the dogs came in and they sniffed out the area before him and his entourage came through
No, I didn't.
in the
After that, I
gymnasium.
just got there right before he showed up. Like
Yeah,
I saw
the
when he came to the
dogs.
building, and then we went upstairs and met with him. Like I got to shake his hand because he wanted to meet with all the teachers, because he's a
Yeah,
former
both my
teacher.
grandchildren have pictures with him.
Oh, nice. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I really liked the way he was talking about Native issues, and that was very smart of him. And that's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. That you're right, Florence. We need to get more of our people voting, because
We need to
once
get,
we start voting, once people start seeing that Natives are voting, then they're going to start wanting to get our votes, and that's going to mean that they're going to want to give us something for our votes, right?
and
Like,
that
well, what do you need?
exactly.
What do you guys want?
And that's what
If we're not
Trudeau
voting, then
did.
we don't matter to them if we don't vote. Like if you're not going to vote, what the hell do I want to help you out? You're not going to do anything for me. If
And
you're
then we
a
have to
group of people that
remember,
vote, then I'm going to try and give you what you want.
it's our country. We're made to feel like we're the immigrant. We
Yep.
don't belong. It's our country. We have to remember, like, to vote on the highest scale. That's so important. I got Vernon
know
to
what?
vote. I made him vote. I told him what to do.
My mom used to do that too, because I didn't know politics very well, and she really knew politics. And so if I didn't know who to vote for, like I'm not sure. There's like for like reserve voting, like for chief and council, like I was like a young teenager, I didn't know, but my mom knew who the people were, right? Because she grew up with these people. She knew what their positions were. She knew what they wanted and what they didn't want. And so she's like, well, this person wants this and this person wants this. If you vote for this person, it's likely to do this for us and that for us and blah blah blah, right? I'm like, okay. So she was able to give me information, because it's hard when we're on the reserve to get information, hey, because we don't get commercials and stuff. You'd have to go to those meetings, and especially when they had COVID, you couldn't go into any public places, right?
Mm-hmm.
To like before, at least you can go to those. What were they called when you go and you those sessions where people would be on stage talking about what their perspective is, and you have the audience and you could ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what they were called.
I can't remember what they're called either.
But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so just doing the attendance. Sorry, we're getting into big conversation about politics. Sometimes we get on a topic and it just takes us somewhere. but it's always good. It's always good to discuss.
Good
How many of you guys
information.
vote? I know Florence and I are talking about voting. How many other people are voters? I mean, I'm not always voting for Lethbridge, like the mayor, and I probably should more, but I vote for the province and I vote for federal elections. But I'm not as good at voting for a province. I always vote for chief and council though.
I'm a voter too, but not really for the mayor either. I've lived in Lethbridge for a long time. I don't know why I've never really paid attention to.
Yeah, I find that the thing with Lethbridge politics is that Lethbridge is such a conservative town or city that no matter who you vote for to be no matter who you vote for, it's gonna probably be somebody with a conservative perspective anyways. There's not like you'll have people that are like NDP or liberal running for stuff in Lethbridge, but chances are it's gonna be somebody conservative that ends up being mayor. I don't think I've ever seen a non-conservative mayor for Lethbridge, which means that Lethbridge is very conservative. You can see the way, like, I don't know if you go to other cities in Lethbridge, I find that they take care of their homeless population a lot better. Like, I remember when I was in junior high, the city council was giving homeless people in Lethbridge bus tickets and $100 to go to Calgary. Like, seriously, that's how they were dealing with the homeless population when I was in junior high. Was there, here's $100 and here's a bus ticket to Calgary, and they're like, okay, awesome, and then they would go, and then they say, okay, we got rid of that person. It only costs us $100 and a bus ticket. And then they're Calgary's problem, right? So I don't know. I mean,
Then I feel like there's a lot of natives that live in Lethbridge, not like half of Lethbridge, but when Martin ran here, if most of even the people, because most of them are native to vote for, and then a lot of that changed for people because the majority of homeless are First Nation.
you're cutting up a lot, and it sucks. I think you're saying something really good. Try again. You're saying something Lethbridge and the homeless population. Well, I know there's a lot.
Martin, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So when Martin ran for Mayor Lethbridge, I think a majority of the homeless people First Nation, they should voted for Martin because he did a lot for the homeless people that are First Nation, because a lot of them are First Nation.
You think they do a lot for First Nations?
Like when Martin ran there, he could have did a lot for homeless people that are First Nation. And yeah, when he was made for mayor, like Martin Jr., I believe it was.
Yeah, I actually voted in that election because I voted for him. I was really excited that he was voting, and he didn't do super bad. Like, it's Lethbridge. Like, I was basically, I moved to Lethbridge when I was 2, so I've been here my entire life, and I grew up here in the 70s and 80s, and this is a pretty wicked racist town. Like, if you think Lethbridge is racist now, try it in the 80s and 70s, man.
You know, Sawaki, I was going to say that. That's what I was thinking when she was talking about the homeless voting. In the 70s and 80s, it was terrible. And then when you mentioned how, conservative Lethbridge is, the worst periods to grow up in Lethbridge was the 70s and the 80s. It was terrible.
That's when I grew up, and I don't look native, and I kept it that way. Like, when I was a junior high and young and didn't have self-confidence, I'd have people, like classmates in the hallways and stuff, making native jokes, and I would never let people know I was native when I was in junior high. That was like late 80s.
Yeah.
Because I was so ashamed to be native. It wasn't even like there was an idea of what political correctness was. No one got in trouble for saying mean things or nasty things about native. You could say something and make a native joke in front of your teacher. They wouldn't say anything. Like, it was just so accepted that natives were inferior and that it was fair game for natives. Like, if you'd be followed around in the mall, you just, this was awful. It was just really, really awful. And I look more Black than I look Native, so no one thought I was Native, except for my friends. My friends knew I was Native. I wasn't a psycho. I didn't like lie about who I was. I didn't stand up if people were making fun of Natives and say, hey, wait, wave my hands, I'm Native, don't make fun of us. I
Yeah.
was not strong enough as a junior high kid, right? But as I got older and started learning more about our culture, and got more confidence by going to ceremonies and spending more time on the reserve with my family. Like when I got to like high school, I started spending more time, like late junior high, early high school. We started spending more time on the reserve, like Indian days, going Browning a lot. And I was older, so I was able to go out with my cousins. I wasn't just always hanging around my mom and my aunties. I'd go with my cousins and we go take off around Browning and check stuff out. And I was able to see more of how everyone lived, than just hanging around at an auntie's house listening to them talk.
Yeah.
And so I got to be more comfortable and get more idea of what it is to be Nation. Still have a different perspective because I still don't have Indian on the outside of my face, right? Like I don't get treated the same as other people. I remember I was a waitress at it was El Rancho at the time. I don't know if you remember El Rancho, but it's the Coast Hotel now. But I was a waitress in a banquet waitress. Sorry, I just had a text from a student. I was a banquet waitress, and we had like how lots of First Nations organizations will have like a Christmas party or some kind of benefit or some kind of conference, right? Well, we had lots of First Nations events, right? And we have the buffet, and you know how we are when it comes to events where there's feast and your gatherings. You don't throw food away. Everyone takes food home, right? That's a waste. You pack it up, you take it home. Well, I was doing a buffet for, I don't know what organization it was, but it was all Native. And all of a sudden these waitresses come back in the back like the kitchen, and they're all pissy and bitchy. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe these Indians. They actually want to-go containers. Don't they know you don't take to-go containers at a buffet? And I was like, well, what are we going to do with the buffet? We're going to throw it in the garbage. Like, that's what you do. You take everything off the buffet tray and you throw it in the garbage. And I was like, okay. And I was kind of said that, like, do you hear yourself? You're acting like these people are like some kind of nasty savages because they want to save some food, and you're just going to throw it in the garbage. But they really were. They were like, oh, I can't believe these people, like, we were so uncouth. We were so like, oh, how classless these people are. Don't they know anything? You don't take food from a buffet. That's so tacky.
Yeah.
And I was like, uh-huh. And then what's funny, I didn't say anything at that time, but a couple weeks later, Redcrow had their some kind of event at El Rancho. And my mom was there because my mom was the president at the time. And I was serving her table, right? I was the waitress for her circle table. And everyone's like, oh, hey, Swanky, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And then my boss says, like, do you know that these people? I go, yeah, that's my mom. This is her college. I know all these people. But she's like, you know what? We have a lot of waitresses. If you want, you can just just stop working and join them and just join the banquet. I'm like, are you serious? Like, yeah. And then I go, okay. So I brought my tray into the back. I took off my little uniform thing, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, this is my mom's college, and these are all her colleagues. I'm going to go sit with them and sit here for the buffet. They're like, oh, they just realized, oh, you're Native. I'm like, yeah. So it's like, you might want to watch what you say in front of people, because like my cousin JR, I don't know if you know JR Manson?
You never know who's listening.
You never know who's listening. Like my cousin JR was raised on the reserve. Like he was raised with my grandma in Moses Lake, and he's got blue eyes and blonde hair, and he had a hell of a time being raised on the reserve because he looks white, hey? And like he always carried his Indian status card with him so he can avoid getting his ass kicked when he was out on the reserve. He's like, no, I'm not white, I'm Indian. But yeah, it was funny because we're first cousins. Our mothers are sisters. But my mom married an African guy, and his mom married a Norwegian guy. So we're first cousins, and we were like raised like almost like brother and sister. But we stand side by side. We don't look anything alike.
You never know, hey?
You never know, right? But yeah, that is a thing though, especially with so much intermarrying in the last 100 years, right? Like not just with First Nations people and other cultures, but every culture in the world. There's so many multiracial people now that it's really hard to say, oh, this race is like this and that race is like this. It's really hard to stay really like Archie Bunker about it, eh? Really prejudiced against one race because of this stereotype.
Yeah.
Oh God, we've been chit-chatting for an hour. Sorry, you guys.
Oh, I'm just writing some of your good points
I like
down.
to get into discussions. It's good.
I'm going to apply them to Aboriginal studies.
There you go. Yeah, no, really, it's good to get into class discussions. This is what I really miss about being in a classroom with people, where you guys can just start talking to each other and just go on one topic to another, and it's really good. Though I'm happy we're doing this today, even though we chiseled an hour out of our class time. But before we do, I do want to show you guys these videos on MLA. And like I said, don't be scared. Like, this intimidates people all the time, because if you've never done an MLA, you look at it like it's another language, and I'm never going to get it. And I have so many students that chicken out and they just don't submit it. They'd rather take a 0 than just try. Trust me, if you try to do anything, you're going to get some kind of mark, and some kind of mark is better than 0. And Cassidy is awesome for, if you're struggling on this assignment. Cassidy is an awesome tutor for this, because she was my EA for English 30 for 2 years before COVID started, right? So she knows really well what I teach. So she's a good person to go to if you want tutoring for one of my assignments anyway. Okay, so like I said, MLA or APA depends. There's a bunch of Chicago. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, and all it is writing the name of the person that you got information from. And it doesn't have to be a book. It doesn't have to be a video. It doesn't have to be a website. It doesn't have to be a newspaper article. You can go talk to an elder, and they can share information. Like, let's say, Florence, you're doing a paper for your ab studies class, and you talk to an elder and you get information from the elder. You write down what they say, and then you take that information, you put it in your essay. You have to write that you got that information from this elder on this day, this year, right? Just like you would like a book. Like, a book was published this year, that this is the date, this is the author. You do that for personal communications too. So there's a way that you write how you got information from an elder. It's a personal communication. Somebody told you information. You're quoting a person. This is who that person is. This is the date and time you got that information. So it's just so that, yeah. So it's just so that when your teachers look through your papers, and you're throwing quotes out there, and you're copying and pasting specific points that you're saying, I'm not pretending this is my idea. At the bottom of my essay, I'm writing down every place I got my ideas. So anytime you go to a website, this is what I do. I copy and paste the URL, the website, at the top. It says, like, right now I'm looking at my Moodle page and it says learn.mcgavestu.com. I would copy and paste that and plop it on a blank Word document. I would just write references, copy and paste, and I'd say, this is where I got my quote for this. And then anything I got, I would just keep copy and pasting those URLs. And then when I'm done my paper, I'd have all those URLs for where I got my information, and I just have to organize it into alphabetical order and in the proper way that you do it. Like if it's, an author, you use their last name, and it's always alphabetical, the way that you do it.
You're cutting out. She left us. Oh, she's back.
Recording in progress.
You guys hear me?
Recording stopped.
You guys hear me now? Sorry, it just completely went out and then started circling and came back. I might have to reboot my modem. Anyways, my point is that we're going to watch these videos. It's going to show you different ways of doing MLA. I'm going to give you an assignment on it. But like I said, don't worry about it right now. We're going to work on it over the next couple of weeks. I don't want you, it's not going to be an assignment where you have to do it by yourself. We're probably going to do it through, I think I'm going to dedicate the lab time over the next week or two to MLA stuff. so that we can work just on MLA during the lab time, because Billy, you've done it before, and it's kind of scary, right? It looks kind of intimidating. And I have a lot of students, like every year, I'm lucky if I get 50% of the students handing it in. They just kind of throw their hands up and get too chicken shit for it. They're like, no, I don't want to do this. It's too scary. But once you know how to do it, you're good, because second you get into post-secondary, every paper you do has to have this at the bottom, every single paper. Especially if you're going to like a university or something, they have really strict rules on plagiarism. And if you don't cite your sources properly, they can easily accuse you of cheating, of copying it from somebody else. So anything that's word for word has to have a quotation mark around it to show your prof that this isn't my word, these aren't my words, these are somebody else's words, and I'm going to show you at the end of my paper where I got these words, right? So without further ado, I'm going to show you these videos. So some people have like Microsoft Word, right? If you've got a Redcrow a laptop, you probably have Microsoft Word, but some people are using Google Docs. So Google Docs, where you find your stuff is going to be a little different than Microsoft Word. So I'm going to show you guys videos on Google Docs as well as Microsoft Office. I have never done a video on Apple or Mac. Does anyone here have a MacBook they need to know how to do this on? No MacBooks? Okay, good. Because I hate MacBooks. They are so confusing to me. But my daughter jumped on my husband's laptop and crashed or completely shattered the screen. So, and it was from work, his work iPad or laptop. So he had to go back to work and say, oh, this is what my daughter did. What do I owe you to get another one? And they said, doesn't matter. We're switching out our laptops anyways. We're all switching to Mac. So he was one of the first person to get a MacBook. And he was just in hell for like a month trying to figure out how to use a MacBook. Everything is different, right? He's got it now, but he was like, oh, he was so choked because my daughter hadn't crashed his or wrecked his laptop. He would have been able to use his laptop until it broke down, right? Because it was brand new. Anyways, all right, I'm gonna share screen here. So I guess what we're basically gonna do is look at these videos. And then with whatever time is left, I'm going to show you what the assignment actually is. And you don't have to get started on it, but you can look at the assignment and get an idea. And if I have I might have a sample to show you, but the videos show the samples too. All right, here we go. Okay, here we go. MLA. These are the sources and the videos. So I wrote down here, check out the following videos and documents for help with your MLA works cited page. You can also go to our Facebook page to view the instructional video we had Mary Weaselfat record. So if you go to Redcrow's main campus Facebook page, Mary did a recording on how to do MLA, which goes through our RCC library portal step by step with instructions on how to cite MLA. So you guys remember when Mary came and Jeannie came and they did that presentation? Our library has a link that takes you to how to do this MLA, APA, these kind of citations. You can go there too for help. This works cited page will be graded as a major project. Please hand it in. It is your choice what you use as a citation. Just remember that your page must include at least. So this is at least. You have to have any novel of your choosing. So if you got a novel you like, maybe you like Lord of the Rings, use Lord of the Rings. It's a novel. So you can pick Lord of the Rings, a website article related to the novel. So maybe a video or a website on the author, that J whatever Tolkien. Maybe you found an article on that, or maybe you found an article about the movie that came out about the book. So any kind of article that's related to the novel. And a video site, any YouTube example related to the novel. So if you pick a novel, like I said, any novel you're choosing, find a web article that talks about that novel and find a YouTube video that talks about that article. And then, because you have citations, then you pick 2 of whatever you want. You can do a YouTube site for anything. You can do a website for anything, any kind of newspaper article, any kind of magazine article, any kind of personal communication. If you had a conversation with somebody about something, an elder, you can put that in to show me that you know how to cite it. Okay, so here is the instructions. Here are the videos. Okay, hold on, my girl. So I'm going to show you the first video and make sure it's that the sound plays.
All right, this video is going to show how to do MLA format for your works cited page.
You guys see that?
I know
Can you hear?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so I'm going to show you a few examples. So just pay attention. Like I said, don't get overwhelmed. We're going to do it with each other in breakout rooms on our Wednesdays. So you'll get it figured out.
it's something that a lot of my peers struggle with, and I struggle with too sometimes because I can never remember, if the title goes first, the author goes wherever, the publisher date. So I'm going to show how to set up the page for that, and then I'm going to show how to format specific sources for probably the 3 most commonly used ones. So after you've got a lot of your essay here, you probably put in something from a source, some information. You need to cite it, and you need to put it on the works cited page. So to create your works cited page, you go to the last page of your document, go to the end of the last paragraph, and hit Control Enter. And that's going to just bring up a new page there. What you want to do with that first line of text is hit this center icon here. You need to center it and write works cited. Then hit enter and left align the text after that. So now we're down to where we're going to enter in our sources. To do this properly, we need to go up here to this tool for adjusting the tabs and the indents. Now, if you go to the top one, it'll say first line indent. You don't want that one. You want to go to the kind of the middle button there. It says hanging indent. Just drag that over 1/2 inch. And what that's going to do is set up your sources in proper format. So now I guess I'll go over some of the most common ones. I guess most of us are probably going to be writing our essays at 3 a.m., the day it's due. So I'm assuming the most common source is going to be a web page or an article from a database. A lot of us aren't going to be running out to the library at 3 a.m. So for a web page, what you want to do is enter the author, if you know who the author is, and it would go last name, first name. This is going to be the format for pretty much any source. And then in quotations, you put the title of the web page. This is for one specific page on a website. So let's say this one is, I'll just do this. Make it simple. Then you close the quotations. And then in italics, you can hit Control-I to get the italics, or you can come up here and just click it. You type the title of the website. So that's for the whole website. And you hit period, space, and you don't want to be italic anymore. And here you're going to put the publisher date or the company, the publisher name or the company that's affiliated with the website that's publishing it online. And then you want to do a comma instead of a period this time, and you do the date. Usually just a year, something like that. Or if there's no date, you can do ND. Same for no publisher. Say there was no publisher, I could do NP. That's no publisher. Next, you need to type the form, which would be web. We're accessing it online. It's going to be web. And then you type the date that you accessed it. So I'm making this on February 8th, I think. So just like that. And see what it did there is it did a hanging indent. So that there's for a web page. You can see it went back out to a left align first line of the next paragraph. The next paragraph is going to be your next source. So now we're going to do an article from a database. It's very similar. Most of these are very similar. Honestly, if you get it close, most professors are not going to care. But some do. So it's just better to be safe than sorry. So same for this. You're going to go last name of the author first. Now for both of these, and for any source, if you don't know the name, you just don't put it. You go straight to the title or straight to the website. So here you would do the title of the article followed by a period, and then you close the quotations. In italics, you do the name of the journal or periodical, and then get rid of your italics again, Control I, or just click I. And then you type the version number. So that'd say, or version or issue. So it could be issue 10, version 1, whatever. You can do 10.1 in that case. And then in quotations, you do the date. Usually that's just the year. And then do a colon, and you say what pages you used. So let's say you used page, say 3 through 6. You do it like that. And then you want to do, again, in italics, or Control I, the name of the database. For a lot of us, that's going to be EBSCO, or, usually EBSCO. And get rid of your italics again. And we accessed it online, so we'll do web. And then you want to do, again, the date accessed, which in this case, I'll just say it again, is 8 February 2013. Now, this third one here is for a book. It's usually not one we're going to use. This generation, we're researching everything online for better, for worse. But a lot of professors are going to require that at least one or two of your sources come from books, from printed material. So same format, you're going to go last name and then first name. And then instead of quotations, this time we're going to italicize it and put the title of the book followed by a period. Get rid of the italics. Put the city where it was published, and then a colon. The name of the publisher, the company that published it, and then a comma. Year it was published. Just the year, that's all you need. And then, since this is a printed document, we write print. And that's it. If it was an ebook, this is going to be kind of a newer thing. I'm assuming at this part where it says print, you would just type ebook like that. And then in the actual document, you'll reference the pages that you used. So that should be it. Those are the, I guess, top 3 most common sources that are going to be used. Thanks for watching.
Holy crap, I just bit into my crown and it broke off. My temporary crown. What a pain. Do you want this? All right. So that was one version. This one's
As I work on research papers, one question I'm asked frequently is how to format a works cited page, especially when you're working in Google Docs. And for MLA citation, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to stay in a 12-point font, and most of you will do your paper in a Calibri or Times New Roman. And if you're looking at this page here, you will see that it's not all set up that way. So let's go ahead, we'll highlight everything on the page, and we're going to go up here and set it to either Calibri or Times New Roman. This time we'll just take Calibri. And not everything is in a size 12 font. If you're looking here, they're not all the same size, so we'll set it for a 12-point font. Okay, so almost everything is uniform here. You'll notice that works cited is bolded and underlined, and it's not supposed to be. So we will highlight this, and we will just click off the bold and then click off underline. Okay, now everything is at least the same size and same font. It looks pretty uniform. We need to get all of our left margin here set the same, because you can see this case closed is not set to the same margin as the rest. So we'll highlight this, and we're going to drag this over here, just this little triangle at the top. Click that. Notice how it drags everything with it. And we'll click it back. And that leaves everything with a nice, uniform, justified left margin. Okay, we still have a couple things to do, though. There's this part that looks tricky, and it sounds tricky, but it really isn't. Google Docs has made this nice and simple. We need to set the hanging indent. So if you highlight everything here again, just the body of your works cited, and you go back up to this little piece on your ruler. Now, if you take just this bottom part and drag it over, it resets that just like we did before. But when we want the top back to the margin, the left justified margin, we're going to just take that top little rectangle and drag it right back here, and watch what happens. When I release it, it leaves everything after the first line indented. So it wouldn't matter how long this particular line was. Notice if I just sit and type here for a while, la 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 la, it will keep all of that with that hanging indent. Let's just delete that though, because it's not necessary. Okay, the very last thing we need to do, at least for formatting right here, is to center justify the works cited itself. So we're going to come up here. Here's our left line. This is our center line. Okay, now there's only one more thing left to do. Anytime you make a works cited page, you need to have everything in alphabetical order. And it doesn't go according to, last names or anything like that. It goes according to this very first letter. And the very first letter here is a C. So we are going to highlight this case closed. And you can do this multitude of ways, but I find the easiest to be if I just take it and drag the whole thing up to the top. There we go. And we have one more out of place. Hutchinson is an H. Alphabetically, that is out of place. So we will take it and drag it right here. Oops. Let me put a space and enter this so it goes down to the next line. And there we go. C-H-O-W. Works cited is correct. Everything looks good. We're finished for now. And your works cited page is all formatted. Thank you.
Hey everyone, so this is a video on MLA works cited page. It's basically part 2 of the video I did before on how to use MLA citations in the text, but I didn't talk about how to do the works cited page because I felt like that was a little too much information for just one video. So here's how to do the works cited page. If you already know how to do in-text citation, then that's awesome. You can just skip straight to this. But the two kind of go hand in hand. So this stuff tends to be pretty complicated, and I definitely recommend you get some kind of writing handbook, or you use the website that I'm going to show you, because nobody can be expected to remember all this. But as I said in the other video, the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. But we're going to look at how to do a works cited page, and I'm going to give you the most common types of works that you would probably use and how to format them. So let's talk about a quick update. MLA, which is the Modern Language Association, changes the rules from time to time. So in 2009, they came out with some new rules. So one of them is for every entry, you must determine the medium of publication. And that goes at the very end of the citation, and I'll show you that. Most entries will likely be listed as print or web sources, but other possibilities include film, CD-ROM, or DVD, and we'll look at some examples. We don't underline book titles anymore. Now we use italics. I don't know why. That's just what they said we're doing, so that's what we're doing. So you use italics for larger works, but if it's a smaller work, you use quotation marks, so underlining is gone. And writers are no longer required to provide URLs for web entries. A caution on this, a lot of instructors are used to seeing URLs, so they may be a little confused when it's not there, because not everybody keeps up with MLA as it updates. When in doubt, just ask your instructor. It really can't hurt to put the URL, but you're not required anymore. So I really recommend that you go to this website I've shown you here. There's the link. It's by Purdue University. It's called the Online Writing Lab. And it basically lists every type of source you could ever need to cite. I'm going to show you the common ones, but if you have something that's not in the list that I'm going to give you, you can always go to this website. So where and how. Your works cited page is at the end of your paper on a new page. So if the final paragraph of your paper is in the middle of the page, don't start your works cited page by just, dropping down a couple lines. You have to go to the next page. And you put works cited at the top in the center, just like I've done there. This is basically just the beginning of one of my works cited pages that I just lifted. Notice you've got your margin. So what your word processor determines automatically, that's going to be on the left there, but then everything after that is going to be indented. And the reason for this is because it makes the author's name stand out a little better. So basically just make it look like I've shown you there, and that will be correct. So let's talk about a book with one author. And every other type of citation is really going to build on this. So if you get this format right, then everything else is just a slight tweak of this one here. So we're going to go into a ton of detail on this one, and then I'm just going to show you the differences after that. So you start with the author's name, and it's in this format: last name, comma, first name. Then you've got a period. Okay, then you've got the title of the book, and it's in italics. It used to be underlined, now it's in italics. Then you've got a period. Then you have the city of publication. Then you've got a colon. Then you have the name of the publisher, in this case, Books for Libraries Press. Then you have a comma. And then you have the year of publication, then a period, and then this is the new part. You have.
So this is one you're definitely going to have to do. Remember, you have to do one novel, so one book with one author. So this is how one of your citations is going to look.
Have the medium, which in this case was print, and you have another period. So this information can all be found at the beginning of a book, like literally the beginning, the first couple pages of the physical book itself, not the first couple pages of text. Usually where the Library of Congress information is at is where you'll find this. So just follow this format here, and then everything else will build on it. And here's another example below. It's the same thing. You've got the author's name, last, first, title of the book in italics, city of publication, name of publisher, date of publication, medium. So that's the format, and everything else will build on it. Get confusing for everybody. Sorry about that. You've got the second author's name, and it's going to be first, last. So the first author's name is in the format of their last name, and then a comma, and then their first name. And if they used initials, that was the author's decision. Then and then you've got the next author, and that you switch it around. So that's just one of the differences. And then everything else will be the same. Books with 3 or more authors. Same thing, but if you don't want to write out all the authors' names, you can use this thing called et al. And that's Latin for and others. So notice that there's no period after the et, but there is a period after the al. So you're just going to put the author's name, and then a comma, and then et al. And that takes the place of all the other authors that come after that. And that's for 3 or more. So you don't have to bother typing them all out, which is kind of nice if you're doing a big works cited page. And then everything else is the same as the previous example. Okay, a book with a collection of articles on a topic. You're going to run into this one a lot in college. So basically what changes, you've got the author's name, but the title of the article is going to be in quotation marks. And basically it goes right before the book title, because you've got a book and it's on some topic, and that book has a title, but within the book you've got basically a bunch of little subtitles, which is basically what the article names are. So you put that before the name of the book, and it goes in quotation marks, so don't forget those. And then everything else stays the same, except if it is a book of articles, you're probably going to have an editor. If you have, and you're going to need to list their names. If you have more than one editor, it's going to be EDS period, which stands for editors. If it's just one editor, it's going to be ED period. But then everything else stays the same as the previous one. So as you see, basically, a book with one author is the foundation, and then everything after that builds on it, and we're just adding and taking away information. But the foundation is that first example I showed you. Okay, a scholarly article from a journal. This may or may not be print. You may or may not actually get the actual physical volume. I mean, you might find it in the library electronically, but at some point it was printed, so we're just going to refer to it in that way. In this sense, you've got the journal title, and that replaces the book title. So everything else is basically the same. You've got the author's name, you've got the title of their article, which is in quotation marks, like the one I showed you before. But because it's not in a book, it's in a journal, the journal title takes the place of the book title. And then if all journals are going to have some form of this, they're either going to have a volume number and an issue number, or they may not have an issue number, it may just be a volume number. But whatever they have, you're going to put that there in that format. Then you're going to have the publication date. You may or may not have a month. Different journals do it differently, but you're almost certainly going to have a year. Well, you will certainly have a year. But if you don't have a month, just exclude it. Doesn't matter. If you have the year, use that. Then you're going to have the journal pagination. This is where in the journal that article actually appeared. And you do this because anybody that wants to look it up is going to need to know exactly where in the journal to find it. And then, of course, you've still got the medium. So that's how you do a scholarly article from a journal. And below I've got another example. A.C. Spearing, pretty famous guy, wrote an article called The Journey to Jerusalem, Mandeville, and Hilton. So that was the title of his article. So that's in quotation marks. And it was found in the journal Essays in Medieval Studies. So that's the title of the journal. It was volume 25, and it was published in 2008, and the pages were 1 through 17. That's the basics. Again, like I said, there's a lot of different types of sources that you could use, and they basically all have to be cited a little bit differently. I've given you the common ones. Check out this website if you're using something other than those, and I would recommend checking out this website anyway, because even I have to look at it, and I've written a lot of papers, but it can be hard to remember this stuff. The more you do it, the more you memorize it, basically, and you don't have to constantly be referencing this stuff. I know it's a little tedious, but it's just the way it is. It's part of good scholarship is citing our sources, so we have to do it correctly. So I hope that was helpful. If anybody has any questions, feel free to let me know. Thumbs up. Thanks a lot.
This video explains how to include websites in your Works Cited list according to the 7th edition of the MLA Handbook. If your instructor has indicated that you should only use scholarly or
So pay really close attention to this one. This is one of the ones you have to do. You have to do a web page, right? You have to cite something from a website. So this is going to show you how to do that. And all these videos are on our Moodle, so you can go back and watch them too.
peer-reviewed sources for your paper, this does not include websites. Instead, visit the MUN Library's homepage to search for books, ebooks, and scholarly journal articles. Sometimes, depending on the course or the assignment, it may be appropriate to use a website as a source, but make sure you evaluate it carefully. There are some credible websites out there that would be good sources of reliable information, like government or museum websites, for example. But unfortunately, there are plenty more that aren't very credible or well-written, give questionable information, and should be avoided as sources for a university research paper. For more help with evaluating websites, see the MUN Library's webpage, How to Evaluate Internet Resources. Let's get started with how to cite an entire website. In this example, punctuation is in red for emphasis. In your actual works cited list, all font would be black. Include as much of the following information as possible. Start with the author's last name, followed by their first name. Then the name of the website in italics. Next is the name of the institution or organization affiliated with the site. If this information is not available, enter N.P. for no publisher. After the comma, enter the date of publication. The format is day, abbreviated month, and year. See page 235 of the MLA Handbook for abbreviations of all 12 months. If there is no date available, enter N.D. for no date. Then enter the medium of publication. Medium refers to the format. Web is how MLA refers to any online source or website. Finally, indicate the date you accessed it. The format is also day, abbreviated month, and year. The MLA Handbook says to not include a URL or web address, unless your instructor specifically requests you include them. Let's look at a completed example. It's very common to not have a specific author for a website. In this case, begin with the name of the site instead. The publisher of the site is the Folk Arts Society. It's often very difficult to determine a date for a website. Here we've used N.D. Finally, we'll look at how to cite an individual page or document on a website. You simply enter the title of the web page or document in quotation marks before the name of the website. Here's a completed example where all of the required information was available on the website. Thanks for watching. For in-text citations, watch our video, Citing Sources in MLA Style, A Basic Introduction. For more information about MLA Style, visit the MUN Library's webpage for our MLA guide and to chat live with library staff.
Sorry. Okay, so on our Moodle, I put this on here as well. This is from Mary. So it is Redcrow Community College Resource Center. So that's instructions to go to First Nations Information Connection FINIC portal. So if you go to websites, it's Chrome, you can go to whatever, Google. Go to Redcrow Community College website, click on library, scroll down to library catalog and click on this link, Lois ENT, whatever. As you know on this page, I have it or in blue and underlined, so you can actually just click on this and it'll go straight to you. So I'm gonna do that, see where it goes. Oh, it must be outdated. I'll have to get Mary to update it. Anyway, so we go to the FINIC portal, go to the website, click on it, and then there's click on MLA style guide, and it gives you all the information for how to do it. If you're not liking a video version of an instruction, then you can go to this one. Also, I'll go back. Also, I have this is that one. If you go back a bit to the original page, our assignment is MLA citations. I have how to use Works Cited with Microsoft Office. So, and I also have an MLA cheat sheet. So I'm gonna go to a web document here so I can show you guys. When you're on Word, on a Word page. Okay, so here's a web page. You can go, if you look up here, You got file, home, insert, draw. Like insert, we use that for our PowerPoint points, right, for pictures. You can go to references. If you click on references, there's a way you can set do endnotes, footnotes, insert a footnote. You can see I've got it listed on MLA. You can do insert a citation if you want to insert something in the middle of the, like you say you have a quotation in the middle of your paragraph and you want to write down where you got that, because when you do a quotation in the middle of your writing, you have to write like the author and the date of publication in brackets right afterwards. And then it gives you a choice to do like APA, Chicago, Harvard, MLA. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, but you're doing MLA, right? You're doing MLA, so you stick on MLA. So I've not really done this before with mine, because when I was writing papers and having to do citation pages, we didn't have this on Word. So I've never tried it on Word. I always just do the old fashioned way where I kind of have to pick at it. And if you could do this way, learn how to do this way, I'll save you like 1,000 years of time, trust me. So I'm going to show you one more video where it shows exactly how to use the Microsoft Office version of MLA. So basically you're putting your information in and it kind of just does it for you, which is really cool. Like I said, it will figure out if you're doing a journal, if you're doing a website, if you're doing a video, it'll format it all for you. It'll make sure that the periods are in the right place, that you have your quotations in the right place, that everything's italicized or last names first, comma, this and that. It does it all for you. So if we can figure this out, like I said, I haven't figured it out yet because I've never had to really use it. But you guys, especially if you're good with computers, this will probably be a no-brainer for you. But I'm going to show you this one. I know we only have 12 minutes left. This is only 7 minutes.
All right, I'm going to be showing you how to do a works cited page just by using Microsoft Word and nothing else but Word and your sources. So we're going to be on Microsoft Word here, and you'll see this screen when you open it up. So the first thing you want to do is up here at the top, click on References. This brings you up to the References ribbon, as they call them. And this References ribbon has a menu on it in the middle where you insert your citations. First thing you want to do, though, is change your style. Because you're not doing APA, or if you're doing APA, great. But if you're in my class, you'll be doing MLA 7th edition, or whatever the latest edition is. And so you'll select that under Style, MLA 7th edition, and then you'll click on Manage Sources right above that. Manage Sources, okay? So again, remember you can always pause and rewind this video if you need to go back. So you'll get this pop up here, and this window is where you'll add the sources themselves. Okay, so when you're ready to add one, you'll click on New. And before you get too far, go down here to the bottom left where it says Show All Bibliography Fields. You want to check that box, okay? Because otherwise it will not ask you for the publisher, which you definitely need, okay? So we'll click on Show All Bibliography Fields, and we'll go down and select our type of thing. You can select all of them here, okay? But I'm going to do a website since that's what most of my students do. And we need our author, okay? And I'm going to cite this article I found about camera settings that I was reading because it's got a new camera. So for the author, this guy's name is Darren Rouse. So I can just type it in how it looks. And you'll notice that when you format it, it'll format it for you when you're done. So just type it in, first name and last name. If they have a middle name, you might want to go into this edit thing, and you can edit that right there, okay? And you'll notice that's already formatted it for me, okay? And the name of the web page, which is the actual name of the article, okay? So in my case, it's going to be ISO settings in digital photography. Okay, and the name of the website is digital. You need to know this too. Okay, all the information I'm putting in here is what you would need to know for a properly done MLA format of what works cited. Okay, so digital photography school, and it did not list an editor. Most of the time it will not. Sometimes newspaper websites will, so if you do, you can. The producer name, though, and the producer company gets kind of confusing, okay? The production company will be your publisher, though. It doesn't give you a field for just the publisher down here. and so Word's kind of confusing like that. But that's the publisher, the production company. Okay, and in this case, the guy's name is Matt Brett. Sometimes it's just the webmaster, and I guess that's the webmaster for this one. And so there's Matt Brett. It was published in 2012 and does not give me a month or a day, so I'm going to skip that. If it does give you a month or a day, then do that. But this particular article does not. Okay, I know especially news articles will definitely give you a month and a day when it was published originally. Year accessed, I'll just go with today's date. The month, March, and today's the 11th. Actually, that is the day I actually looked at this article. So when you get down to URL, do not put that in. Okay, most of you think you have to just copy and paste that, but you don't have to. Now with MLA Today, you do not have to do that. All you need to do is go down here to Medium and put in the word web, which tells us you got it from the internet. If you'd gotten this from a newspaper, you'd put in print, or a book, you put print. Or if you got it from, say, an audio recording, you put audio. Okay, so that's all it is to tell us what kind of thing you use to get this information. Okay, and so we get all that, just kind of look it over, make sure you got it all. I think I do. So you'll simply hit OK, and then you'll see it's there. Okay, and do your next one, you click on New and do the same thing again. I've websites already selected for me this time. Okay, so if I need to change that, change it for the type of source. Then click on Show All Bibliography Fields, and then I'm going to put that same information in here again. Okay, I'm going to pause the recording real quick and enter another one so I can use it for example. Okay, so I've got the second one in here now. And this one did have a year, month, and day for the publication. Okay, so I will want that for this time. And I've got all my information there again, checked it over, hit OK, and now that's in my list as well. And now you can see down here, it's going to have all that stuff in your bibliography entries. Okay, so I'm going to click close now. And now to get my works cited page, I'll go back up here to my ribbon and click on bibliography. And then I'm going to select works cited. So I don't want bibliography because that's not going to be the proper format. It might be in a different format than what we want. But we were calling this a works cited, so we'll click on works cited. Okay. And there it is. All I had to do is plug in the information, and then Word formatted it for me. And so I didn't have to sit here and try to remember all the periods and everything else I needed. It's all there for me. Okay. The other nice thing about this is when you go to the page and do the in-text citations when you're actually typing the document. So let's pretend I'm using information from my document, or my source, excuse me. All I've got to do is, when I'm done using that information, I got to do the in-text citation. I can go back up here and click on in-text citation, and let's say I got it from this Darren Rouse guy. I can click on his name, and it puts them there for me. Okay, it's that simple every time. And that will save you a lot of time when you're typing, because no one likes to sit there and keep typing these things over and over again. Okay, so that's how we do it, folks. And if you have any more questions, see me, but or you can always go back and watch this again step by step. Okay.
Probably the most useful one for you to learn, because you guys are kind of at the beginning of your academic
All right,
career,
I'm going to be
right?
showing you
Like
how to do a.
Go into, you said social work.
That's the long-term goal. The short-term goal is that Indigenous mental health.
Well, you're going to be doing a lot of papers, trust me, and they'll be doing a lot of research papers. where you're having to look at other people's writings on stuff and have to be able to cite that stuff. So if I were you, I would really start working on learning how to do it with the way that guy just did it, because that will save so much time. Like just being able to just click on something and it just does it for you automatically. Oh my God, I wish I would have had that when I was doing my master's. I had to write a 50-page paper at the end of my master's, and every page had to be cited.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that again, that video's on our Moodle. It's there all the time. You can just click on it and make it one of your favorites or something in your computer.
Okay.
But I'm gonna let you guys go now on, and then next class we're gonna be doing. I'll have to double check with Andrea. I'm pretty sure we're on our own on Tuesday, and then we're gonna have our elder on Thursday. So Tuesday, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna introduce our short story unit, and then Thursday, hopefully, we'll have our elder in to talk about our ways of doing short stories.
Tuesday we have the assembly.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Right. We don't have class on Wednesday. Okay, I guess we're gonna see each other. Then we'll see each
No,
other Wednesday
Tuesday.
in the lab. Tuesday is the 15th. Is that it?
Yeah, that's when we have class, but we have the assembly that day.
Okay, so the assembly's in the morning, so yeah, we'll miss our class. So Wednesday, I guess, will be the next time we see each other. So Wednesday, we'll get started on the MLA stuff. We'll get started on the MLA thing, because that'll be kind of our Wednesday activity. And then Thursday, maybe we'll have an elder. I'll find out from Andrea. Either way, our next unit is short story. So as of right now, you don't have any homework for me. If you feel confident, you can start working on your stuff. Start looking for a book you want to use, a website you want to use, a YouTube video you want to use, and kind of have that kind of in the back of your mind for Wednesday.
Andrea, I was a little late. My baby had immunizations. So I'm just making sure you get me for attendance. Yes.
Yeah, I got your message. Thank you. Okay, I'll let the rest of you guys go and see you next Wednesday, I guess. Or I guess I'll see you in the assembly as well, but I'll see you next Wednesday.
Alrighty, see you. Have a good day.
You too.
Have a good day.
Hi, Swati. I just wanted to find out if you can tell me what all assignments I'm missing. This is Kirsty.
Kirsty, let's see. What ones have you submitted?
I think I'm only missing the essay analyzing assignment, but I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. Yeah, the essay analyzing assignment isn't due yet.
Oh, it's not due yet?
The assignments that are due are the PowerPoint and the paragraph.
The 20 paragraph topics?
Yeah, you pick one, right?
Yeah. Okay. I got both of those in.
Got that in.
And the essay analyzing assignment, when is that due? I thought it was due at midnight. Did you extend it?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay, I'll work on that and I'll get that in.
We talked about it yesterday in class, and we had a group stuff, so I put it back a little bit because I didn't expect you guys to do it in one day.
Okay, I'll get it in.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, awesome. See you next week. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.